Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we welcome you back to this special broadcast. And the world has been abuzz today after 40 days of relentless bombing that had taken place. And we see it right across the entire world today, from mainstream media to social media, talking about the ceasefire. Now, this obviously has raised a number of questions. We see celebrations in Tehran, we see mourning in Tel Aviv. And after what was promised with the attack on Iran, they said Iran would be brought to its knees. They promised regime change. They talked about total surrender, about zero enrichment of uranium, the dismantling of power. Now, a lot that needs to sink in, because we've seen a superpower that has unleashed its massive arsenal only to be returned humbled to the negotiating table and not by its own terms. So a lot to sink in: no regime change, no surrender, no zero enrichment, no dismantling of Iran's missile program, and no abandonment of its regional allies. And obviously the critical area that we're talking about is also the Strait of Hormuz. And we are joined now by His Excellency, the Ambassador to South Africa, Mansour Sheikh Mehr, and we want to talk about what actually comes next. Your Excellency, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, and Jazakallah khairan so much for your time.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Thank you inviting me to your program.
Yes, before we start with the questioning, just from your side, how did the news actually sink in with you when the ceasefire was actually announced?
From the beginning of this war, it is an imposed war, which imposed by United States and Israel, and start on 28th of February against Iran. When the aggressor realized, as you mentioned, it could not achieve its objectives and goals, it proposed a ceasefire through the intermediates and the intermediators. It tried to impose somehow ceasefire on us. But since we were aware of their intentions, we did not accept it. We announced our own conditions from the beginning of this war, that should be stop the war. Because, this is the second time that they start war against Iran. The first one was in June. They start war and propose ceasefire and invite us to the negotiation. And then after a couple of months, start war. We don't want to enter this circle. We ask them to put an end to the war. And apparently they accept it.
Yes. Now, obviously, there's just so much history to this. I mean, going back 47 years, and I know we don't have the time to go back to the history, but looking at the latest developments and from an Iranian perspective, how does Iran actually assess the current ceasefire and your role in preventing even a wider war from taking place?
We don't have any trust on the other side. And it is obvious that we cannot trust them, because this is the second time that we enter to the negotiation and they betrayed the diplomacy and attack us. And they attack the diplomacy, the table of diplomacy. We don't trust on them. But in order to prove to the others that we are not seeking war, and war should be end in this time, we accept their proposition to ceasefire, but we announce our conditions, 10 conditions that you might have heard about that, and they accept it. And last night, Trump, through social media, announced that these 10 conditions of Iran can be the basis of the negotiation and upcoming negotiation in Islamabad, which took place in near future.
As far as Iran is concerned, what are some of the key objectives as far as these negotiations are concerned? What does Iran actually want?
Iran has very specific and clear conditions. First is the stop the war. They should stop the aggression and promise not to repeat it, and give us the guarantee not to repeat it. The second is the lift the sanction, remove all the sanctions that they impose, primary and secondary sanctions. Ceasefire should apply to all the countries in the region, such as Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and Iraq, not only Iran. We have a new idea and new regulations for Strait of Hormuz, and they should respect our new conditions and regulations for Strait of Hormuz. And they should give us some guarantee to compensate the destruction which caused by this war.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, I'm quite glad that you mentioned Palestine, Lebanon as well, because, you know, when we look at the axis of resistance that had taken place, Iran got a lot of support coming through from the likes of Lebanon as well, and also coming out of Iraq and also in Yemen. And, you know, we are talking about a ceasefire now. Donald Trump is one person that we've seen that can never be trusted. And the key question here is, I know Iran is insisting on a permanent end to the hostilities that is taking place and not just a temporary pause. Why is this so important? Because we heard of Donald Trump mention 10 days. So, you know, are we looking just at the 10-day, a temporary situation? And, you know, why is this so extremely important for Iran to have a permanent end to these attacks and the hostilities that have been carried out against the country?
You know, we don't have any trust on Trump and his administration, but we have trust in our friends in the region, such as Pakistan and the other mediators, through their promise and through their guarantee, we accept ceasefire. And it's not a permanent ceasefire, it's a temporary ceasefire. If they want to start attack against Iran, our military forces and defense forces are ready to respond and to retaliate. We don't trust them. We should see the clear, just the clear reaction of themselves to believe that they are serious about ceasefire and to put an end to this war. Until that time, we are quite ready to answer all the violation of ceasefire and all the breach of ceasefire.
Yes. Now, let's just take a step back as well, Mr. Ambassador, looking at the main causes of this attack that was initiated by the United States and Israel, and why Iran was targeted.
As you know, United States announced, the Secretary of State of the United States announced they enter to this war on behalf of Israel. And they have several objectives. We know that they have several objectives. Some objectives have been declared by themselves, but some are covered goals. The declared objectives that they announced, the destroying of Iran nuclear capabilities or missile capabilities, or so-called proxy of Iran's in the region, but they have lots of covered objectives that we can say that these are the changing the political system of the country and somehow gaining access to Iran's resources. None of them were successful. These are not achievable for them, and they make the situation worse than before. For example, the Strait of Hormuz was opened by the war, by imposing war. We forced to close to them, to the enemy of Iran, but it was opened to our friends. You see, they don't have any achievements by this war. None of the goals and objectives have been take place.
Well, certainly. And I think, I just want to divert for a minute as well, because I think for years, I think the world has actually woken up to a new reality. Because when one looks at Iran, for many years, we've seen Iran enduring sanctions, and these were designed to suffocate its economy, to isolate Iran, to break the will of Iran. We've seen many threats that were made against Iran to force it into submission. But what we saw is Iran not back down. In fact, what we've seen is Iran absorb the pressure, waited very, very patiently. And when this war came against all expectations, we saw Iran did not collapse. Yet we saw how Iran held its ground, and the response was actually phenomenal. And I think this is the world has woken up to the reality that even a superpower like the United States of America, together with Israel, could not force Iran into submission.
Yes, absolutely. Because Iran relies on its own power, its own people, and its own capabilities. After the revolution, as you mentioned, they use all the ways to undermine Iran, to defeat Iran. They imposed 8 years war. They imposed tough sanctions, and they imposed lots of restrictions against Iran on baseless accusations. For example, they say that Iran is looking for nuclear arms. That is a baseless accusation. It's not true. Iran is not looking for nuclear arms. Iran is a peaceful country, peace seekers, and not attacking to any other neighbor countries during the at least 250 years ago. Just we want our own sovereignty, we want our own independence, not to be servants or somehow puppet of the others, to be an independent country, to have our own sovereignty. We want the others respect this sovereignty and this independence. Just.
Yes, certainly.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
It's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
When disaster strikes, families lose everything in an instant. Homes destroyed, communities displaced. Hope fades into uncertainty. Our Global Emergency Fund ensures we respond without delay, delivering food, water, shelter, and healthcare to families in need. To support our Global Emergency Fund, visit islamicrelief.org.za.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Now, I'd like to talk about the critical issue of the Strait of Hormuz, because it's an important part of Iran and the geography of Iran as well. The Strait of Hormuz clearly crippled the entire world, especially with all the shipping lanes, going across the entire world, and we felt it right across the entire world. What the Strait of Hormuz actually means. Now, let's just try and define, Iran from the Iranian perspective. How does Iran define safe passage for commercial and countries that are not hostile to Iran? So non-hostile vessels through the Strait of Hormuz during the ceasefire period.
As I told you, the Strait of Hormuz was open. But unfortunately, with the military operation of United States and Israel, we have to put some restriction on this very important passage. And now, at that time also, even at that time during the war, it was open for our friends. They can pass safe. There was not any restriction for our friends. But the insurance companies that were unwilling to assume the risk, they did not accept to cover the risk of passage of these vessels. Now, with the end of this war or with the ceasefire, we are going to have a new regulations for this strait. And it is our right, based on international law, for environmental purposes, for guarantee the safe passage of vessels. We can impose some special regulations. Still, it is open, and it is specially open for the passage of our friends' vessels.
Well, certainly, Your Excellency. In fact, what you are saying is very, very significant, because what this has actually done for Iran is your leverage has actually grown, because, as I mentioned, the Strait of Hormuz remains an important part of the geography of Iran, and it could not be bombed into submission. And, this is critical, because we see what this has resulted in is the balance of power has actually shifted in favor of Iran. as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned?
Yes, the Strait of Hormuz is very important, and we have to impose our sovereignty in this passage. We have a new regulation, and we will impose new regulation in this very important passage of the world, and it shows that this is much more, this war shows the importance, how the importance of this passage is to all over the world.
Well, certainly. Now, Ambassador, let's just talk. And I know, Iran has a very close relationship with South Africa. Iran is part of BRICS as well. And just to give assurances to countries like South Africa, what assurances can Iran offer South Africa and also other neutral countries, regarding maritime, the transit through the Strait of Hormuz, and also some regional stability?
As I told you, the Strait of Hormuz was open for our friend and friendly countries, and we didn't have any restriction for our friends. South Africa, we consider South Africa as a friendly country, and as our friend, there is not any restriction for South Africa in order to pass. We guarantee the safe passage of South African vessels from the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes. Now, let's just look ahead now. Obviously this 10-day or so-called 10-day ceasefire is in place at this point in time. But let's just look at a long-term peace agreement and the possibility of a long-term peace agreement. What conditions would actually be the drivers and the signals for a long-term peace agreement, your ambassador, or Mr. Ambassador?
Yes, we are fully prepared. If any violation of ceasefire take place, we will start and resume defensive military operation against the enemies. It is obvious. Our military capability is still there. They are very vigilant. They are very cautious. We have no trust in the other side. It is quite clear. It is necessary for the parties to participate in the negotiations. Iran has always been ready for dialogue and reaching an understanding, provided that the other side is equally prepared. It is the third time that we enter the negotiation with United States. We hope they would not betray once more to the diplomacy.
Well, definitely, and I think that is absolutely critical in terms of betrayal, because, once again, raises question on people like Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu that can never, ever be trusted. But Your Excellency, I just would like to have your thoughts on how is this likely to play out in your relationship with the other countries in the Persian Gulf, because Iran obviously has gone after the US bases that have been stationed in the Persian Gulf, and they've been affected as well. And they've also had this false illusion and the sense that they've been betrayed by the United States of America, where they spend billions and trillions on these American bases, and America was unable to protect them.
Yes, as you mentioned, I hope they realize that they should not rely on the superpowers or the powers outside the region, and they should rely on their people, their own people. They should trust the Islamic Republic of Iran. We did not any intention to attack any of our neighboring countries. uh, targeting the American bases, it is our inherent right, because we declared several times if the United States want to attack us, we target all the infrastructure or bases or assets of the United States in the region. It does not mean that we target the soil of our neighboring country. We target the American bases, and because we consider the source of threat against Iran, they launch attacks from these bases to Iran and against Iran, and we warn before that war to our neighboring countries. If the United States want to use the bases of itself in these countries, we retaliate. We defend our people, and it is based on international norms and regulations. Article 51 of United Nations Charter allow us to defend our people. And I hope that they realize that they should rely on their own people and trust Iran. Iran does not seeking war, is not starting war, was not starting war, and we will not start war against the neighboring countries. We are Muslims, we are brothers. For thousands of years and hundreds of years, we are living with each other peacefully.
Yes, I just want to now move on to Palestine, and we know Iran has actively supported the Palestinian resistance, whether we're talking about Hamas throughout the genocide in Gaza as well. And historically, Iran has had a very, very strong relationship with the Palestinian resistance. Now, since this attack on Iran has started, the question of Masjid al-Aqsa has arisen as well. And looking at it from an Iranian perspective, diplomatically, to advocate for the reopening of Masjid al-Aqsa, because the Muslim world is concerned. Throughout Ramadan, we've seen the closure of the mosque, and it still remains closed at this point in time. You know, how is your government obviously going to be engaging with this particular matter in terms of the reopening of Aqsa?
It is obvious that we support the Palestinian people. From the beginning of the revolution, one of the objectives of the revolution is the freedom of Palestine and forming of the new government of Palestine in that region. We support Palestine. We continue supporting Palestine. We consider Al-Aqsa Mosque as a holy site of Muslims, and it should be open. We continue supporting Palestinian against Zionist regime for sure, until the freedom of Palestine, as the late leader of South Africa, Madiba Nelson Mandela, told us, the victory of South Africans is not completed until the victory of Palestine and freedom of Palestine. This is a very basic, and it's a principle of our revolution, the freedom of Palestine. And we will continue supporting the Palestinians in their struggle against atrocity and the occupation and genocide of Israel.
Yes, and just
have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future? We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031-202-4700 for more information. Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a world of financial freedom? Partner with us today. Call Yasin Badat Financial Advisory at +27 33 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
We support the Palestinian people. From the beginning of the revolution, one of the objectives of the revolution is the freedom of Palestine and forming of the new government of Palestine in that region. We support Palestine. We continue supporting Palestine. We consider Al-Aqsa Mosque as a holy site of Muslims, and it should be open. We continue supporting Palestinian against Zionist regime for sure until the freedom of Palestine. As the late leader of South Africa, Madiba Nelson Mandela, told us, the victory of South Africans is not completed until the victory of Palestine and freedom of Palestine. This is a very basic, and it's a principle of our revolution, the freedom of Palestine. And we will continue supporting the Palestinians in their struggle against atrocity and occupation and genocide of Israel.
Yes, and just finally, Your Excellency, what message does Iran have for the global Muslim community during this time?
We invite all the Muslims for unification, to unite against atrocity, against imperialism, against tyranny, against injustice, and support the people of Middle East, Western Asia against United States, against Israel, because they committed genocide, they committed war crime, not only in Palestine, but also in Lebanon, in Iran, and in other countries. Unification between Muslims, regardless to the school of thought, is very important, and we invite them for unity and unification. And this is the message of Iran, a message of our late leader and the new leader also. We invite all the Muslims to live peacefully with each other, not to oppose each other or stress on the differences. Be united against our enemies.
Well, Your Excellency, I must say it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us. I know it's a busy time for you as well, but for taking time out with us here at Salam Media, we certainly do appreciate it. We say Jazakallah khairan to you as well. We wish you all the best. We wish the people of Iran all the best as well, inshallah. And we continue making dua. We make dua for peace. We make dua for the unity of the Muslim Ummah as well. Once again, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khaira. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.